Hey, F&I managers out there, if you want to make some more money, I mean a lot more money, you got to prop it up for profit. What I mean by that is you got to start utilizing props. And I'm not talking going out there and buying a bunch of theatrical props. I mean, you don't need theatrical props to get your point across. You can use ordinary items, common things, like the customer's cell phone that they just laid down on your desk when they walked into your office. Or use your stapler. I mean, everybody has a stapler on their desk. And then there's the thermos that you walked into work with. You can actually use that as a prop. But I'm going to share with you some other ideas and other ways to prop it up for profit. And listen, if you don't listen to what I have to say, you're not going to make as much money as you can. Because there's a lot of money to be made once you get your customer involved in the presentation. And these props oftentimes will take that intangible item that you're trying to sell and make it more tangible. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about. The first prop I'd like to share with you is something that I found about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, during Christmas, and I had walked into a Lowe's hardware store, pretty big for a hardware store. As I was walking through there, I was with my grandchildren, and they noticed on a kiosk there was a bunch of these wooden toys that you could build. Build and grow is what it's called, 5 years and up. And they're looking through it, and they had like birdhouses and churches, and you could build a truck. And then I saw this car, and I bought like 5 of them, because I had a really good idea. I said to myself, you know what I'm going to do? I'm only going to make half that car. And what I'm going to do with half that car is I'm going to illustrate powertrain coverage. And that's exactly what I did. Here it is, okay? And what I do is I take the cell phone that the customer, on my cell phone, that the customer left on my desk, and I say, can I borrow your cell phone for a minute? And I place it right on this. And I say, this is what drives your car now. The powertrain's been mastered over the years. And you don't have to worry about the powertrain. What's the likelihood of something that's lubricated and maintained by you and built by the manufacturer to break down? This is more likely to break down. Wouldn't you agree with me? So use that. Just run into Lowe's or any hardware store or look online and grab that, build half of it, and use it as a prop. Another prop that I like to use is common items. As I mentioned, cell phone. I mean, most customers will place a cell phone on your desk when they walk into your office, right in front of them, right in front of you, I should say. And on that cell phone, you can tell it has a screen protector, a case protector, and all you got to do is ask them if they have insurance on the cell phone. And then I mentioned the stapler, very common. Closes out there, a lot of word tracks on how to utilize the stapler as a close. This represents the combustion engine. It's been mastered through the years. All you got to do is replace the staplers, just like you got to put gas in a car. You know, sometimes it may jam up, it's just a minor repair, and it starts working again. And if you go into some of these offices, these things have been on that desk for years and years and years. And then you use the cell phone to illustrate the technology and how the cell phone, what it takes to drive the stapler or drive the car. Then there's the thermos I mentioned. You go out and you buy an expensive aluminum thermos. This one happens to be plastic. I can't use this one for the illustration. But there's an example of one with a little ding in it. And you take it in your office, put a little ding in it, place it on your desk, and when customers say, what happened to your thermos? Or you explain to them that aluminum bodies now are easy to dent, just like my thermos. And can you imagine my thermos gets these dents in my office? Can you imagine your poor car out in the elements, plus the disrespectful people that park next to you? And then you place a straw inside the thermos, and you illustrate, once again, powertrain coverage, internal lubricated components. Because the only thing that's covered inside that thermos or the powertrain is the straw, nothing else outside that thermos. In fact, you could place that thermos right in the middle of your desk with the straw hanging out and say, look around, because the only thing that's covered for the longest period of time in that vehicle is that thermos. Everything around you, my computer, my phone, the technology, everything is only warranted for the 3 years or 36,000 miles, for the least amount of time. And why does the manufacturer do that? Once again, what's the likelihood of something that's being maintained by you, surrounded by oil, and built by the manufacturer to break down? The customer's going to say, not that likely. But it's all those other components around that powertrain that have a tendency of breaking down because of all the technology. And then there's the pen. What do you use the pen for? Click, click, click. So again, internal lubricated components. You could lay the pen on your desk and say the only thing that's covered for the longest period of time. In fact, it's only 10% of your car. The other 90% is made up of sheet metal, glass, and technology. What's inside that pen is the only thing that's covered under the powertrain warranty. Nothing else outside that pen, including the casing, is not covered. That's just a good way of illustrating your point to get across to sell more service contracts. Then you have, let's talk about the wheel. I've done a couple shots on that. In fact, I was in Hobby Lobby one day and I saw it and I said, man, what a great illustration to illustrate powertrain coverage or internal lubricated components. That wheel, when you turn it around, the wheel spins and the oil drops on the wheel. It's a great way to illustrate powertrain coverage or internal lubricated components. Think about it. When you say to a customer, the only thing that's covered for the 5 years or 60,000 miles or the 10-year, 100,000 mile is powertrain, internal lubricated components, what are they actually seeing? We see just internal lubricated components. They don't see it that way. They see a lot of more of the car. They see the engine, they see the wires, they see the wheels. They don't realize, because they're not in our business, what powertrain and lubricated coverage means. And let's compare that to the technology in vehicles today, the key fob. You could use that illustration and compare it to the key fob. You no longer start your car with a key. Everything's done through telematics. The minute you press that button and open the doors, there's hundreds of lines of code going through that car, telling other modules and computers what to do. And then you get in the car and you press that start button and it's happening again. All these modules are being told what to do and they're telling other components and other modules what to do. It's ridiculous. So you could use the mechanical versus technology close as well, using props. The other thing is, I've often said, I learned this year actually, early on this year. I was with a Honda finance manager out in Pittsburgh. And he said to me, Gerry, it doesn't matter how many miles a person drives anymore. It's a number of cycles their car goes through. And I was kind of like taken back by that. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he explained it to me. You see, every time you press the key fob, there's hundreds of lines of code, telematics running through that car, telling the car what to do. And every time you press that start button, the same thing's happening. And there's 2 cycles. And then you shut the car off, it's doing the same thing, telling everything to shut down. 3 cycles. And then you go to lock the car, and sometimes you press that button 3 or 4 times. It's going through a number of cycles. And that's how you describe technology to customers today. Another way you could explain it is that, like a washing machine goes through cycles. And if you have a small family, if it's just 2 in the household, that washing machine is probably going to last for a very long time, opposed to someone who has 4 or 5 kids who are using it, once or twice a day. It's not going to last that long. And technology doesn't last as long as the mechanical components in the vehicle. Because let's face it, we're not maintaining the electronics, but we are maintaining the mechanical coverage, the mechanical parts of the vehicle. Then there's appearance protection. So your vendor or your agent, the person that supplies you with the product, they can supply you with a number of props, including what they call the swatch, where you have treated and untreated. And I don't recommend using the oil that they use. They give you the little oil thing. Now you become a snake oil salesman. I think you should just have a cup of black coffee or a cup of Coke on your desk with a swizzle stick in there. So you're able to take the swizzle stick out and just drop a little on the treated side and drop a little on the untreated side to show the effect with and without the treatment. And then many of you probably have some type of windshield coating. And that windshield coating seriously does work. It does make your windshield 10 times stronger. It does reduce glare at night, and it does reduce the glare or see better in the rain. And that illustration, I don't know that your agent or vendor can supply that with you. I simply Googled it, and I talk about Googling things a lot. Just press the button, Google this, Google that. And I got that illustration, I took it offline, and I put it on this PowerPoint. And then there's your showroom. I see showrooms are beginning to have vehicles in them. And I think it's time, once again, to have what we call half a car. Half the car with the paint protection on it and half the car without the paint protection on it. And the thing to do is to make sure that your salesperson has access to those rubber gloves, or those plastic gloves, I should say, and puts it on the customer's hand and allows the customer to rub their hand across the treated side of the vehicle and then rub their hand across the untreated side of the vehicle. There is a huge difference. The treated side is just going to glide across, and on the untreated side, it's going to skip across. And you're probably wondering what the golf ball is. That's a common item, and a lot of people golf. The purpose of the golf ball is to illustrate the painted surface, how it's porous. And once the paint protection is applied to the vehicle, those pores go away. They're sealed. I often talk about industrial fallout, how industrial fallout lays in the clouds, and especially in the state of Florida, a place where it's humid. In the morning, there's dew all over your vehicle. and then the sun comes out and immediately dries that all up. And what happens if you don't have a protected surface, all the industrial fallout and all the contamination that's on your car is now embedded in the paint. Once the paint protection is applied, it can't get into the pores. Therefore, it's not embedded in the paint anymore. So these are just some of the illustrations or props that you should use to get your point across. And it's guaranteed to make you more money. And it livens up your presentation. It gets the customer involved. Let's move on. How about this one? What's that? So I have this little shopping cart on my desk. I have one behind me, and it's on your desk. And maybe put the key fob in the shopping cart, the mini shopping cart. Then you go out and buy a ball jar and put all kinds of things that come out of the tire machine. You're gonna have to commit yourself to go out to the tire machine and pick up things that are pulled out of the tire machine, place them in the ball jar. Place that on your desk. Customers are going to know, what is that? And you explain to them that this is things that have come out of customers' tires. And they've had to replace tires or had to repair tires. And the likelihood of repairing a tire today is probably unlikely because of the safety standards that are required now on the road. And then, or you could get a magnet and just have all the metal that comes out of tires placed on the magnet and place it on your desk. Your agents or vendors can supply you with that spilled coffee cup. I used to, when I was doing F&I, I used to place that coffee cup with the fake spill on the customer's seat before they sat down, and they'd look down and go, oh my God, someone spilled coffee. And I'd pick it up and say, no, this is fully protected. Don't worry about it. Let me explain how you can protect your vehicle. It depends on the customer also, but you gotta have fun. Again, props liven the presentation up, but they also make you look real. It's not a sales pitch. You get the customer involved. So let's talk about tires, low profile versus regular tires. Today, most cars come with low profile sport wheels. That same pothole that you hit last year with the vehicle you're trading in with regular tires, you hit that same pothole, it's going to damage the wheel. Let me show you what I mean. There's a curve, okay? There's a big difference between regular tires and low profile tires. And you've got to explain this to your customer, and you've got to show illustrations. There's another thing that you can do. I don't have a picture of it. I'm sorry. I just came to my mind, is that you could actually take those electronic picture frames and you could take pictures of things that have happened to customers and place it on that electronic frame and place the frame on your desk as it's going through. Explain, these are some of the incidents that have happened or perils of ownership that some of our customers have gone through. I don't want to see you go through them either. So again, liven it up with these props. You can't lose. And then your customers are going to provide you with props as well. I think the majority of people today wear either a smartwatch or an Apple Watch. And you can say, man, you must like technology. That's a wonderful watch. Do you have Apple Care with that? Or do you have Android Care? Did you have a service contract on that? It's very expensive, Apple Care, especially a family plan. And the cell phone I mentioned to you that they lay on your desk, I often said you could use that as a calculator and have the customer go through the calculation of what their daily payment is on their monthly payment and what their daily payment would be if they were to buy the product. I've shared that with you a number of times. It's also a chart out there that explains, you got to explain to the customer that they're paying this much every day for the vehicle. What's another $1 or $2 for the products that they're somewhat interested in? Doesn't it make sense to spend the extra money? After all, $2 or $3 a day isn't going to change your lifestyle in any way, shape, or manner. So now I have a cell phone charger. This was an idea I got from a Mercedes-Benz F&I manager in White Plains, New York. He places a charger on his desk and says to the customer, while we're going through the paperwork, do you want to charge your phone? You just place it on that charger. And it's just a common courtesy, but now the prop, the customer's cell phone, is right in line. Everything's in line. He talks about technology, utilizing. Look at the technology. You don't even have to plug the cell phone in and it's charging. Isn't that ridiculous? That's what's going through your vehicle right now. So all these little things, all these little props add up to big, big money. So if you want to make more money in F&I, you better prop it up for more profit. Until next time, by the way, if you like what you just heard and you want to hear more and you want to join some of the most elite F&I managers in the country, just press the button below. You guys have a great day, and don't forget, till next time, go get them.